Hi, you've reached Call Your Publicist, your go-to source for PR moves, media moments, and brand strategies that keep businesses and people in the headlines for the right reasons. I'm one of your hosts, Jenna Guarneri, CEO and founder of James G Public Relations.
And I'm your co-host, Alexandra Anastasio. Let's start talking.
Sandra Myers, alongside her partner Amber Lee, isn't just playing Cupid for the 1%. Together, they've built Select Date Society, a professional matchmaking company for elite singles with a totally different kind of intention. Today, we're talking with Sandra about love, legacy, and building something real, not just for clients, but for themselves. Sandra, welcome to Call Your Publicist. We're so excited to chat with you today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Of course. A question we always like to ask people is that, did you ever envision that you would be a matchmaker when you were little? Was this a lifelong dream? How did you come across this?
No, because there wasn't matchmakers back then. I mean, the only matchmakers I knew were like your family, your grandparents, or,
Right.
people that knew you. It wasn't a thing back then because I was born in 69. I grew up in the 70s and 80s. This wasn't a thing at all. So no, it wasn't my dream as a kid. I just always knew that I was a connector. Like if the new kid came into class, I was the one who was going to be like, oh, you can sit and eat lunch with us. Like I was always that person. So I knew I would be doing something of bringing people together. Just didn't realize it would be to this magnitude.
And I was just going to say, as you just mentioned, you are a connector. So I feel like it's probably something that was ingrained in you from childhood, but you didn't really know where it was going to take you, right? You just knew that wherever you went, it was that you were drawn to people. And so it makes sense for you to be in a position like you are today.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, if I knew this existed back then, it would have been my dream job for sure.
Right.
And it seems like it's probably such a fun job to do. I mean, you're making people happy along the way. So I imagine it's very rewarding.
Oh yeah. I mean, listen, there's very few jobs. Like I always feel if you can be great at something and do what you love, like you'll never be working. So that's where I feel I'm so fortunate because not only do we love what we do, but you're changing somebody's next chapter. Something that they couldn't even envision themselves. So when you hear somebody say, I can't believe this person's on this earth for me. Like I couldn't have dreamed this big. Like those are the wins. Those are the big wins. Like those are the Super Bowls. But the smaller wins is just somebody saying, you know what? I realized what I was doing wasn't working, and now I understand the why. Just moving people along, getting closer to the goal, if that makes sense.
So you were talking about, being able to help somebody see their big picture or changing somebody's life. So you've been doing this for many years. What would you say, you were doing it first for other companies. You were working as a matchmaker for other companies, but in June of 2020, you and your partner, Amber, you launched your own firm. So Select Date Society. So before we dive into like the business side of it, how did you and Amber come together? Like how did that friendship begin? And then obviously you eventually became business partners.
Yeah, so we actually worked at the same company and we met back in 2009. That's our careers started, hers in 98 and mine in 96. So we met in 2009 and it's just, when you meet somebody and you just have a genuine, like, you trust them immediately. Like I met her and I felt like she's solid. Like she's like a good egg. Like this is somebody that I will, confide in, talk with and try to progress within the company we're at. Well, she left the company and then recruited me to the second company because, over those 20 something years, I had only worked for 2 companies.
Okay.
Like I'm loyal.
Yes.
I'm a total loyalist. So when she called me, I just trusted her judgment and I felt like, okay, well, if this company is doing it better and at a bigger scale, we can work with different kinds of clients, probably need to make a change. And then we did that. While she was working there, she told me that she was probably going, to consider other options. Over Mother's Day, she drove across 4 lanes of a highway into a brick wall with her family.
Oh my God.
Everybody was okay, but she had a cardiac arrest. And fortunately, she was next to a fire station where she was able to get the defibrillator. The next day after her surgery, she called me up. She's like, we're starting our own. And it's kind of like, what do you say to somebody that just died, came back to life, survived like this horrific thing? I was like, okay, because I think for her being at 40, me being at 50, I just realized, here she is 10 years younger than I. And like, this is how quickly something can happen. Like, there's no more waiting. There's no more, like, we need to do it now.
Wow. Did you, at that moment when she presented the idea to you, did you have a hesitation or were you all in right away?
I think I was so glad she was just still alive. It wasn't even a thought. One of the things you find out when you have life changes, who your partners are in life absolutely affect how you move. Now, if I had a husband that was like, you better clear things with me first, or, didn't trust my judgment, I probably wouldn't have been like a direct yes. But I do. I have an incredible husband, and he was all for it. Even though we were doing really well at my last firm, he's just like, no, you guys can do it better. I believe in you. And so did her husband. So we both had great partners that actually influenced us to not just think about it. Like, we were on it. We were starting it that day.
And that's so important to have a good support system, because you just feel more confident in what you're doing. And it's nice to have that extra person just to, be a sounding board and to say, hey, we got this.
I love the fact too that what you said about your friendship when you worked together, that when you met her, you just knew. Sometimes you just have that instant connection with somebody and you just know that wherever you are in business or in life, you get each other and your visions are aligned. And so that's where the trust comes from in saying, I'm sure when she talked to you about, hey, I want to maybe start something, or before she had, the accident, but more about, hey, I'm thinking about this. And even though maybe in your mind it was like, okay, yeah, maybe we'll do it. But then actually taking that and really bringing it to life. And so trusting in each other, which I think as a business person, as an entrepreneur, really having to trust in your partner as you begin this next phase of your career.
Well, Alexandra, I'm sure you and Jenna probably have that same dynamic. It's very hard to run a business with someone that you don't trust, or you don't feel, honestly, even though she's my junior,
right,
I respect her equally. Like, to me, there's no deference in, what we're bringing to the table. And the nice thing is we each bring different things. And I'm sure the same with the two of you. It's like, it has to be a really good yin yang complement to each other, so that together you're better than if you were on your own.
It's really true. It's really true. And so when you guys started the business then, how did you start to figure out this balance of the skills? And because it's really so hard to start a business in general. Let's start there, right? So you're learning how to be an entrepreneur together, which is nice. And also at the same time, how do you figure out each other's strengths?
Yeah, I think it was evident. I think we just were naturally drawn to different, like, we wrote down, these are the things that we need to achieve and get accomplished. And we kind of each just like, well, I'll do that. Like, it was just an easy, she liked the things that I didn't want to do. And I was like really excited about the things she didn't want to do.
So it worked.
So there was no like, okay, we're going to have to draw, flip a coin here and see who does what. We're a really great complement as a partnership, even in our demeanor and how we see things. So together we're definitely better.
And as you were building the company, how did you guys figure out the niche that you wanted to carve out?
I think the niche kind of found us. I think that what was happening was we started off wanting to be more curated in how we were handling clients, because I think the biggest frustration in this industry has been, you really like who you're meeting, and you get it. I get attached easily. So when I say something to somebody, I want to follow through. And I think that was the key. Like, we wanted to over deliver, and we didn't want to make promises that we couldn't support. Right. So the biggest challenge on the front end was creating systems and then holding the people that we hired accountable to those systems. And that was the hardest part, was wrong person, wrong seat. And some of these people we knew, like, well, you know what I'm saying? We worked with them, we were friendly with them. and it was hard, but you can't fault yourself for hiring the person, but you can fault yourself for keeping the wrong person. So we had to make some tough decisions, but now our team literally, it's like dream. I'm in heaven every day because these women, they love what they do. Like I said, I never feel like they work for us. They work with us. Like we have this little sorority that we're so blessed and fortunate to have, that everybody just respects each other. And 8 women that get along amazingly well, it's very rare.
Oh, 100%.
As I'm sure you guys know.
We feel the same way about our team, all female led.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's important too, like when you're building your team, to speak the same language, to know what it is you want. Obviously, when you and Amber were starting out in those early days of building the company, knowing what you wanted and how you wanted to get there, and making sure, like you said, that there are people who kind of fell in, I don't want to say fell in, but that felt the same, that felt that same passion,
Right.
that had that same vision as you, so that, you can come together as you are today. And I'm sure that that doesn't happen overnight, right? Like you're building a business, it probably takes time to find that right combination. But here you are today. And like you just said, it's a dream, right? It probably doesn't feel like everyday work. It just feels like you're getting together with, people that you enjoy, and you're bringing happiness to other people. So, I mean, that has to be fun every day.
Honestly, yeah, when you can be working and feeling like you're playing. I mean, that's what I do. I feel like we get to play with these amazing people every day, and hear the most incredible stories, and and they entrust in us their heart. Listen, it doesn't matter whether you're a billionaire or you're just getting started. Your heart and the feelings and the pain of love is the same.
Right.
So to be able to help somebody that's kind of achieved everything else in life, but then there's this one last piece of the pie that they just can't get right, and to be able to finish that pie off, it's awesome.
It sounds super rewarding.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, especially, if somebody's coming to you, like you just said, if they've achieved every other areas of their life, like success, right, in business, but in this particular instance, they're just feeling like they're struggling, they're not meeting the right person, and then they come to you, and you're helping them. I can't imagine how they must be so grateful, right? Like that they found you to help them in this next part of their journey. And I feel like everything happens for a reason. We're in these places for a reason. We may not know it at that time. But I would imagine you must get, I don't want to say attached, but connected to everybody, because everybody's story must have some sort of impact. And how is that working with so many different types of people? Do you keep in touch with them? Like, I feel like I would want everybody to just stay in touch with me.
They do. I mean, they just naturally do, because, one of the things that I think most people feel when they work with us is they feel like family, because that's how we treat them. And that's the mantra for the company. Treat everybody as you would somebody that, if they were your best friend, your sister, your mom, how would you want them to be treated? And that's exactly how we treat our clients. So yeah, I mean, we still, even last week, we're getting pictures from one of our clients from year 1 that's still with the guy that we introduced her to. And, she's off in Europe sending us pictures. Hey, just wanted to check in and say hi. So it's really, you do build a relationship with your clients. And that's why we've been super fortunate. Like when I say that the business is kind of, our niche has found us, it's that we've connected and have drawn a lot of C-suite, entrepreneurs that know other C-suites and entrepreneurs. And we naturally drove our business, our culture, our, mindset of how we operate around that level of person. So again, it kind of walked into it instead of created it.
And you talked on a podcast recently about your clientele has shifted from male clients to female clients. And that's interesting, as the female entrepreneur group has grown tremendously.
Well, so this level of matchmaking, when you're talking about people paying, $75,000 up to $1 million for a membership, typically this high end was really for the men. And they were the ones who were hiring, and the women would just be in the database. And what we found is that the women are now the C-suite executives. They're the entrepreneurs. And they're deciding, you know what I want too. I've achieved all of this. I want the same quality of partner that I am. So they don't want to leave it to chance, and they don't want to waste years. And as you get, if you think about where you kind of get to the pinnacle of your career, it's typically in your 40s, right? So in your 40s or 50s, wherever it lies, that's where you have the money. And then you also kind of come to realize life is short.
Yep.
Do you really want to waste time with the wrong people? No, I'd rather cut to the chase, get to the point, find my person. And, they've found us. So again, when you're working off like 90% referral, you're getting the same types of people that you're succeeding with.
I think that's great. And I think too, for, female entrepreneurs, in that dating space, you've accomplished all this stuff and you want to connect with somebody, but you want to also make sure you're connecting with somebody who wants to be with you for you as the person, and not
Right.
for you as what you could bring to the table in terms of financial, wealth or anything else that you have. So I would imagine, now for the female entrepreneurs or those, C-suite executives, they need, they want to come to you for that assistance and for that guidance, because they want to find somebody who wants to be with them for who they are.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest challenge that we hear on a daily. I can't find someone that I don't need to either they're emotionally defunct or the efficacy to get their life together is not there. So, you don't want to be someone's mom.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Correct.
We do not want a man child.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. You want another grown up in the room. You want somebody who collectively your lives together get better. It's not you making someone's life better,
Right.
because they're wanting to be in your world. Because it usually, that dynamic doesn't typically work, very rarely. And even if it does, it's more for the formality of being in a relationship,
Right.
rather than a thriving relationship that they're happy in, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. It's almost like counterparts, right? Like if you, meet somebody who just wants to be with you for you, and they're also have achieved, in their life and their career, that level of success, then you complement each other. So you don't have to kind of take them along for the journey with you. You're just going together.
Right.
So that makes a lot of sense.
That's boring really quick, because most of these women are super sharp, very smart, pretty worldly. And if you're with somebody that doesn't understand the world that you're kind of living in, it's super challenging when you want to bring them to an event. It's like, well, I've got to babysit them. And that's usually what women say to me. Like, I would like to have somebody they could bring to an event that they can mingle. Like, I'm not worried about what they're going to say, and I don't feel like I have to run back to them every 5 minutes because they're bored or they don't know what to do.
Right.
They also want somebody that admires their achievements and isn't competing with them. And that's the other thing. I mean, it's not to say we don't work with men. We work with some fabulous men. But it's just interesting how from 30 years ago, it was the tables have turned.
Yeah, this is true. And do you feel that a part of the process when, say, working with an individual, whether female or male, is that you have to coach them along the way to help them figure out some of these things?
Yeah, so it's interesting because when you're dealing with super sharp, smart people, they kind of think they know what's going on.
I can imagine.
And yeah, so it's, you have to be careful how you approach it. And I always just usually explain it like this. Like, you have a known. She's a woman. You know that you want to date her. You want to go out on a second date with her. But the unknown known is that, yes, she went out with you. That's the known part of it. But the unknown part is, how did she perceive you? And without that feedback, you're guessing at best.
Mm-hmm.
And what the clients learn through us is we're just like kind of sharing information with them. We're just giving them resources. And it's not about, I don't feel like people like to be coached. I think they just need good information to operate from. And that's how we perceive it. We call them insight sessions because most of our clients really, they're not wanting to be coached. They just want great information so then they can navigate this, at a higher level.
I love how that's said. Well said.
Absolutely. Now, I know you have something, the Founders Club, which is an additional service. So there's 3 levels of service with the company, and then this Founders Club, which is this additional service, and it's the most exclusive. Can you share a little bit about that and tell us a little bit about like what makes it unique and how does it go beyond some of the other offerings that Select Date Society has?
Well, as far as being unique, this is a membership that only one person can be in at a time. So they are the sole and only focus of both Amber and I while they are in this membership because it costs exactly what it says it is. It's $1 million. And we do a deeper dive. Like we actually go out. But most of the clients that do this type of membership, they've got staff. It's not just them. They've got people. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And what we have to do is we have to kind of immerse ourselves into their world, understand what are the dynamics. Is your assistant like what kind of personality type does she have? How often is she in your world on a daily basis? How much alone time do you have? What is your travel schedule? Like we have to really get in there, meet their staff, meet their friends, their family, and get a real 360 of what their world is like so that we can make a great decision one way or the other. Do we want to spend the next 12 to 24 months solely focusing on this individual? Because that's what it is. And so we're very picky about who we consider. We don't take on every client or potential that wants to be considered. But it's highly effective.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of a business model, I mean, so many entrepreneurs, like you get the people who are thinking, I need all the clients, right? But realistically, I love your model of less clients, higher dollar amount. And that way you can really spend, your time efficiently, give them quality service. So I love the business model that you chose for this. And I love your business mindset towards it. And really also the psych behind it and being able to dive into their world so deeply. Yep. I would imagine it's really rewarding and also creates a different kind of experience for your client.
Yeah, because they feel like they have a trusted advisor rather than, because look, you got to remember, Amber and I own the business. This is our baby. They're not dealing with like a salesperson. One of the things that we really did not want Select Date Society to be was a sales organization. We don't have salespeople. It's just Amber and I. And we're the gatekeeper. And, probably I take on 1 out of 10 to 15 people that I interview. We could be huge. Honestly, we could franchise, be big, sell the name. I never wanted that. At 50 going on 57, my focus is really leaving a mark for the industry that it can work and it can work exceptionally well. And be the guiding light for that. It's really our end goal.
And imagine too, and it is true, right? A business that's based on referrals. I mean, that is a true testament to you and what you've built. I mean, to be able to not have to do sales and you're getting these types of clients, like that's fantastic that you were able to build that out. Now, do you find there's a component of, happiness that you want each client to leave with? Like what is your metric for success?
Well, success means they're in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they could be happy. That's great. But, just to give you an idea, like one of our clients in Charlotte, his membership was over and, he's extremely picky. A woman walked in, probably it was a month or 2 after his membership was up. And Amber and I were like, wow, that's Jeff's person. Even though technically his membership was over, but why would you not want the win? So we went ahead and set them up anyway. They're married now.
She came after his membership ended.
Yeah, so his membership ended, and then, we reached out to him and we said, you know what, Jeff, we met somebody. I know, your membership's over, but we're still going. And we do that with everyone. We let them know. If someone comes through our doors, we've been like one of your best friends for a year. Like, we are going to reach out to you. And it's not going to be asking you, for more money. It's going to be like, hey, we came across somebody that's just right up your alley. We want you to meet them. And I think that's a testament to why our success rate is so high, because we don't forget about people once they walk out the door. Once you're a part of our family, you kind of stay that. You're not like now a long distance cousin that's going to be out of the will. We're still
Drama with that.
You were not written off.
Right, you're not written off. So, and I do feel that's a part of what makes us successful and why people are like shocked that we're treating them so well, and want to refer people that they know.
I can't help but notice, Sandra, behind you, you have a beautiful wall of press. And as PR people over here, I have to ask you about it. And, as you built your brand, it looks like you prioritize PR as part of it too. Can you tell us a little about that?
Yeah, I think what really helped us is one of our first clients that wound up getting married through us, and it was with a lot of nudging. She only wanted somebody in South Carolina. This guy was in Chicago. We were like, oh my God, they need to meet. We literally forced her to meet him. Well, they're married with a baby, living in Chicago.
Oh, how funny.
Right. So, never say never is what I say, always. So she wound up like giving us some really great tips because she was in PR. So that kind of got the ball rolling for us, and it put the light on. So yeah, it's been great. And now, we get approached more than we need to chase down, which is also great.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I was going to say that's another level of knowing that what you're doing is reaching so many people that you don't have to constantly, be talking about it. They're hearing about it. They're coming to you. Sort of like how you just talked about with, getting referrals. I think when you feel like if I'm, just to put myself, let's say in somebody's shoes, after my membership ends and you call me, that there's that feeling of, wow, they really do care about me. And I'm not just a number or I'm not just a dollar. I'm really somebody they value and they're looking out for me. And right there, I think is why you find that success, because I'm going to now go tell somebody else like, hey, you really should be talking to them because they care about you as a person. And I think that's really at the end of the day, what we all want is to know that somebody cares about us and that they're looking out for us because we need help in certain areas. So I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. The worst thing when you make an investment, I don't care whatever it is that buyer's remorse. Like, oh my God, now I feel a different energy. Now they've got my money. Like, that will never happen here. The beauty of what we've built, it's really not Amber and I. It's the team of women behind us. They're doing all the heavy lifting, honestly. They're phenomenal at what they do, and we're so fortunate that they love how we operate. Everybody does need to speak a language, and I don't ever want a client to feel that they're dealing with a different type of company depending on who they're speaking with in our organization. So we've got that fluidity. It's hard to come by. We know how fortunate we are.
It's fantastic.
And when you think about, say, the long-term legacy of Select Date Society, what does success look like to you beyond just a successful number of relationships? Like, what does your legacy look like for the company?
I just hope that we're a great example of how to do it really well. And, how to take the money off the table. I've said this since I got into this industry. I've always, even when I trained other matchmakers at these other organizations, big franchise organizations, I always said, if you operated from an opportunity of, if the money didn't matter, what would you say and do with this person? And that's the way I've always chosen clients. If I wouldn't take them, even if they'd give me $1 million, well, then I shouldn't take them.
Right.
Right.
So that's kind of been the mantra for both Amber and I, and we're sticking to it. We're not changing. So that if we can get that across and more people can adopt that, like, let's just do what's right for people, because the money will come because people will love you and they'll take it.
I like that.
Yeah. Sandra, I really enjoyed chatting with you. How can people find you from here?
They can go to selectdatesociety.com. We're on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, all of the typical. But, most of what we do in our story on our website will get the full picture. And also, you can go to our inquiry page, put your information in.
Awesome. Well,
This is
thank you so much,
fantastic.
Sandra. We appreciate your time today.
All right, thanks.